For the past few decades, Bangladeshi politics ran on a loop. Awami League in power, BNP pushed to the margins. Everyone else squeezed into the edges. In July 2024, the loop snapped. Sheikh Hasina left the country. The Awami League was barred from politics under an anti-terrorism provision in 2025, a move its supporters call collective punishment and its opponents call long-delayed accountability. In the gap, an interim government led by Mohammed Yunus has been trying to set new rules through the July Charter and a promised election. With Awami League off the ballot, old forces like the BNP and Jamaat have been able to reorganize, while the newly formed NCP is also rallying the public to vote for them. This chapter tracks the reshuffle, the comeback of BNP, the return of the Jamaat, the NCP's resilience despite major funding gaps, and even the fragile leftist parties struggling to woo the Bangladeshi people towards their promises. Pretty much since the inception of Bangladesh, the Awami League had held sway over the country, being the party that fought for its existence. From 2009 until 2024, Awami League dominated the state for a straight 15 years. Opposition parties say elections became managed and dissent was punished. Awami League leaders counter that they delivered stability and growth. The 2024 uprising ended that era violently and abruptly. An interim cabinet under Mohammed Yunus took charge with a narrow mandate: keep the state running, investigate corruption and violence by Hasina's government, and set up a credible election. A tribunal case against Hasina that culminated in a capital sentence over the protest killings. The irony was that the same tribunal that was set up by BAL to investigate violence during the independence movement was now investigating the sins of the daughter 54 years later. Awami League loyalists call it revenge. Survivors call it accountability. The BNP calls it an opportunity. And the NCP calls it a revolution. But definitions matter less than the reality on the ground. For the first time in 50 years, the untouchables are in the dock, and the certainty of the old political order has been replaced by something far more volatile: the unknown. To understand this party, you have to appreciate the twisted humor of history. It wasn't born in a town hall. It was engineered in the cantonment by a military dictator, General Tarique Rahman. Yet today, the party of the general returns as the self-proclaimed champion of democracy. For decades, critics feared that Zia's widow, Khaleda Zia, had the potential to become an autocrat, to turn Bangladesh into a one-party state. But fate flipped the script. It was her rival, Sheikh Hasina, who actually became the dictator. And Khaleda, the dictator's wife, spent the last decade of her life under house arrest. Rebranded as the mother of democracy, Begum Khaleda Zia passed away having not seen the Bangladesh to come. Her son and successor, Tarique Rahman, he carried convictions that critics cite as proof of political victimization. In December 2025, he came home at his mother's funeral after 17 years away. He landed at Dhaka airport to cheering crowds and tight security. Many diplomats now describe him as a leading contender for the February 2026 vote. For supporters, Rahman's return signals survival. For skeptics, it confirms something else. Bangladesh is still a country where the leading contenders are familiar family names, not new institutions. The Yunus government has allowed BNP to campaign. unfreeze parts of its organization, and contest the July Charter's details in public. It has also kept distance, refusing to endorse any single bloc. In press conferences, Yunus repeats the same line: the interim will guarantee a fair contest, not pick a winner. Breaking down its constituents, one sees that the DACA at all costs policy of the Awami League has made BNP popular in the northern and border regions of the country. And in contemporary dynastic fashion, Bogra and Feni, which are the birthplaces of General Zia-ur-Rahman and the late Begum Khalid Zia respectively, are also major strongholds for the party. This constitutes almost 31% of the voting populace. BNP strategists claim that they hold the anti-India vote across the country, adding another 5%, and that they will claim the centrist vote from conservative Bangladeshis who don't want to vote for the Jamaat, adding another 3%. They estimate they will take home close to 40% of the total vote. With a simple majority within grasp, they will not even need to create a coalition with the Jamaat or the NCP. BNP has to convince voters it is not just the next machine in charge. Voters have to decide whether the son has the potential to fulfill the sins of his father, or will he become the beacon of a new and democratic Bangladesh? Legally, the Jamaat-e-Islami had been dead in Bangladesh for the past 12 years. In 2013, the Supreme Court cancelled their registration. The International Crimes Tribunal hanged their top leadership for war crimes committed in 1971. Their offices were bulldozed or sealed shut. By 2024, the Awami League assumed they were extinct. They were wrong. In the last 18 months, the Jamaat has come out as Bangladesh's most disciplined, controversial, and resilient political machine. To understand the Jamaat, you need to understand that they carried the mark of the original sin in Bangladesh. In 1971, they didn't just oppose independence. They actively hunted down intellectuals, dissidents, and even normal citizens, numbering in the thousands. Their death squads, the Al-Badr, were the architects of the Rare Bazaar killing fields, where over 1,070 intellectuals were slaughtered specifically to leave the rising nation brainless. After BAL won in 2009, Hasina turned against the Jamaat to eliminate the Kingmaker Party, which carried the swing in the parliament. And after being banned, they retreated to a more puritanical version of its ideology, service.
We'll ensure social justice for all. No political interference will be allowed there.
Jamaat survived for 15 years, creating positive impacts on the civil society. They opened up media outlets, they developed real estate, built the Ibn Sina hospitals and ambulatory services, and went into education with retina coaching centers. You could be born in an Ibn Sina hospital, educated in a Monarat school, ace your exams at a retina coaching center, bank with Islami Bank, and finally, be buried by their charitable trusts. And this is exactly how they came to the center of the 2024 uprising. This service infrastructure produced something else, unwavering loyalty. Their student wing, Islami Chhatra Shibir, is not a chaotic mob. It is a cadre-based organization. In July 2024, when the police and Chhatra League unleashed violence on the secular students, it was Shibir that stepped in. They didn't carry Jamaat flags. They carried sticks and medical kits. They used the discipline learned in their retina study circles to organize defensive lines in Jatrabari and Uttara. They protected the Gen Z protesters who had the spirit, but lacked the tactics. This pivoted them to the forefront of post-Hasina Bangladesh. They have been the only ones holding the line against the Chhatra League violence and have made tremendous efforts to rebrand. This has led to the ban on Jamaat being lifted in June 2025. The new emir, Dr. Shafiqur Rahman,
for fulfilling the people's aspiration, all the issues of reforms will ensure, will support.
Immediately pivoted from the war criminal, Jamaat rooted in the theology, to an organization that would fight for the rights and dignity of all Bangladeshis. He visited the temples of minority communities destroyed in the chaos. The Jamaat of today is a far cry from the old bearded preachers of yesterday. They are more the sharp-dressed, English-speaking and laptop-carrying executives of a well-funded NGO. This discipline made them the ultimate prize for the beleaguered student leaders who had been having massive funding issues.
Transition is never easy, and we're quite honest about that. Protest politics is driven by moral clarity and urgency, but electoral politics requires discipline, organization, and institution building, and we're trying to hold both together.
The National Citizen Party, NCP, has the moral high ground, but no machinery. Jamaat has the machinery, but desperately needs the moral cover. And in January 2026, this marriage seemed to have gotten the heavenly approval. The students who marched for reform signed an electoral alliance with the Jamaat. Their vote base comes from conservatives in Chittagong, Satkhira, and Comilla, and they know they cannot win more than 12% of the total vote. This is why their electoral alliance with the NCP is seen by analysts as an attempt to foil the plans of the BNP to dominate the elections in February 2026. This will rejuvenate Jamaat's hopes are riding on being a kingmaker in the parliament again. Beyond the big headlines, there is another arc. The left trying to re-enter the conversation. After 1971, Marxist and Maoist factions fought in villages and on campuses, arguing that independence without redistribution was unfinished. Some took up arms. Some entered parliament. Over time, repression, splits, and the rise of NGO politics drained them. By the 2000s and 10s, parliamentary left parties like the Communist Party of Bangladesh, the Socialist Party, and the Revolutionary Workers' Party rarely cleared 1% in national polls. Still, they kept organizing in factories and on the streets. The post-July opening gives them a slim chance to be heard again. On wages and work, some of their long-standing demands suddenly sound mainstream. Stronger unions, limits on bank capture, and protection for garment workers who make clothes for global brands, and for migrant workers who send remittances home. Pieces of this language now show up in reform commissions and in the July Charter. But the left is divided. In October 2025, 4 left parties refused to sign the July National Charter, calling it an elite pact. These fringe voices fill the gaps left by a broken center. The Interim has mostly tolerated them, apart from normal policing. Yunus points to their legal space as proof the field is wider than before. Skeptics claim that the left is just background noise. Analysts say that disenchantment of the workers that aided the 2024 uprising has a strong potential to turn into votes for the left. As Bangladesh approaches the February 2026 vote and the July Charter referendum, the political field looks strangely new. Awami League is frozen out while its leaders fight tribunal cases. BNP is back with its prodigal son, seeking a return. The Jamaat is legal again and anchored in a new alliance. The left is louder than its numbers, but still small. Many analysts see a risk of replacement, not renewal. BNP and partners dominating the center-right. Jamaat pulling politics toward religious conservatism, and smaller parties squeezed again. NCP and the left talk about reform and class, but they face money, patronage, and long memory. To slow that swing, the Yunus Interim is pushing rule changes, a stronger election commission, a revived neutral caretaker mechanism, oversight roles for civil society, and a July Charter meant to bind any winner. It is an attempt to write the refereeing rules before the match, not after. Supporters call this the clearest break with the Hasina era. Opponents argue paper reforms do not guarantee behavior. The test is simple. When power returns through elections, do institutions hold? And do losers accept the result? The pendulum is still moving. Bangladesh has already proved it can bring down a government. Now it has to prove it can build a system that outlasts the next winner.